After I graduated from the university, I believed I've lived, I've loved, I've served. Then this should be my payback time. But oh boy, I was wrong. For 6 years, I was stuck in my parents' house. So how did I make that transition? How did I maintain my sanity? How did I get out of depression? And what can you learn from that? This is what I'll be sharing in this episode. Hello, Impact Maker. Welcome to this episode of Life Transitions Today, where I share tips and tactics to help you maximize the in-betweens of life. Sometimes in our journey in life, we have a very big dream. You want to start a business, you want to start a career, you want to go to some places, but then the reality is just that you cannot do the things that you have dreamt of doing. It's either you don't have the means, you don't have the resources, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the people, you don't have the channel, or you're just wondering, why is it that I cannot do the things I've always dreamt of doing? Why is it that I cannot live the kind of life I've always dreamt of living? And you are asking a lot of questions. Some people at that point in their lives, they enter into depression. I was. Some become really confused and they give up on life. I almost did. But how was I able to manage that transition? From my meditation and studying during that time, I understood a process that I called Imagineering. And the interesting thing is that I actually did a seminar that time. Because the concept was so strong in me, I just felt somebody needs to hear about this. What's the concept of Imagineering? How can you live in the reality of a life that you have always dreamt of, even when you lack the means, you lack the people, you lack the resources, you lack the platform to be able to live that kind of life? One of the concepts that drive this home for me is the flight simulator used by pilots in training. In the simulator, they experience all manner of situations that could happen in the real world. And it happens in real time as if, yes, this thing is really happening. So they then learn to manage those situations and circumstances as if they're flying a real plane. And that's the concept of Imagineering. It is living in the reality of a life that you have not yet experienced, but then it is so real to you because you have experienced it firsthand before it happens real time. So how does this process work? I'm going to break it down into a very simple 3-step process, but if you want something customized, then just send me an email and we can take it up from there. So I call this the See, Say, So process. The first thing is your ability to see the life that you actually want to live, even though you have not experienced it. For me, I had this dream that I'm going to be solving problems for people all over the world, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know the process, the people, the platforms that I needed, but I knew that I had that on my inside. What I did then was to get a map of the world and pasted it on my wall, then in my parents' house. And every morning and night, I'll be calling all the names of the countries. I call like that until I get to Zimbabwe, A to Z. I did that every day until it entered into my subconscious that whatever it is I do, I should be thinking of how can I use a platform that is global. So that became something registered in my subconscious. So whatever it is, wherever you find yourself, whatever it is you do, you must be able to see it. One of the things you can do is to get a picture of the kind of business you want to start. Put it somewhere you can see it as often as possible. You have somebody who has done that business before. Anything that looks like the image of that thing. So what you do is that you put it in a place where you can see it as often as possible. As you see it consistently, your body begins to vibrate some kind of energy that helps you to attract into your life, number one, the kind of people that would help you to be able to accomplish that dream. And then number two is that it also helps you to recognize opportunities for the realization of that dream. For example, let's say you are dreaming of buying a particular type of car. What will happen is that as you go on the road, you will start seeing that car everywhere. And then it starts appearing like everybody on earth is using that particular brand of car. So because you have put your mind on something, you begin to see it everywhere. And that's the same thing that happens when you make up your mind and then you take a picture of what you want and you put it somewhere. You begin to recognize that thing everywhere else. In people, in places, in opportunities, you begin to spot the things that can make that thing happen everywhere else. The second part of it is the saying. Why is it important for you to be able to say those things out? When you are saying it, you are creating an energy field around yourself that helps you to begin to recognize the opportunities for the actualization of that desire around you. When you begin to say those things, you are placing a demand on that energy. Let's take, for example, you see yourself as a multi-millionaire and you're telling yourself, I build a multi-million business empire, and you're saying it consistently. But when you have an opportunity to talk about your business, or you have an opportunity to negotiate for a deal, if you have been telling yourself before that time that you are building a multi-million business empire, you will not find it intimidating to ask for the kind of money that you need to demand in order to make that dream to happen. And even when you become successful as it were, you will not relapse into poverty because you have conditioned your mind to be able to say, I am a multi-millionaire. When people don't go through this process, usually when they seem to succeed, something usually happens. Eventually, they lose that wealth. I know we have seen a lot of people that rose to stardom, and after a few months or a few years, we don't hear about them anymore. If you have not conditioned your mind by your words, by your affirmations, by your confessions up to that point, and then the success happens, it's a matter of time that person is losing everything because he has not been able to program his mind to be able to live in the reality of that sphere of success. So you see it, you say it, and the third thing you need to do is you must be able to sow it. One thing about sowing is that sometimes you don't know which of your seeds will give you the best harvest. So when you are in a state where you have a very big dream and then you don't even have a clue how to achieve or how to actualize that goal, then you should understand the principle of sowing. You can sow in different things. Like I said, you can sow your thinking. You're always thinking about it. It's a sowing. Another way you can sow is by volunteering. You may see somebody who is doing something like what you want to do. Why don't you volunteer and say, look, Can I volunteer to serve you? Can I volunteer to work with you for a time, for a season? So what have you done to yourself is that you are creating opportunity for yourself. Sometimes people may not be able to pay you for the kind of service you'll be rendering to them, but the important thing is that you make sure that value is going out of you. You can sow in communities, maybe online communities. People make posts, you comment on their posts, you build interactions with people, you build relationships with people. So wherever there is an opportunity to add value, you just make sure that you add value to people. Another way you can sow is to take baby steps. Okay, you have this big dream and it's like, will this thing ever happen? Yes, it will happen, but you also need to be able to put yourself in a mode that says, this guy is going somewhere, this guy is trying to achieve something. When I got this idea of, oh, I need to build a global platform, the first thing I asked myself that period was, what can I do right now that can have a global appeal? And then I thought of it, oh, I can start a blog. So I started blogging. I had an account on Blogger, I had an account on WordPress, the free platform, and I started writing. So at times when I look at my analytics, I realize that I have people reading my articles from all over the world. For me, it gave me a lot of courage to believe that so I can actually do something that can have a global appeal, that can reach out to people beyond the shores of my country of residence. And that gave me a whole lot of things to think about. Okay, so that's the idea. Just make sure you keep doing something, no matter how small. Once you keep taking the step, the law of momentum steps in. It's like you want to move from this place to that place. What you need to do is take a step. Just keep moving, break your steps down. How am I going to achieve this big thing? Okay, and then you keep taking it one step at a time, a little here, a little there, until you have that big break. That's how you build your mental muscles towards freedom, towards abundance, and towards a life of rest. Thanks for being a part of this broadcast. I hope you found it useful. I have some other amazing broadcasts for you that you will be really interested in. But before you go, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel. Just click subscribe. It is free. Yes. Till meet in the next episode. Keep grinding, keep winning, and keep bringing in the laurels. I believe in you. Bye for now.